Excellent, excellent. So, what we have been doing in this sermon series since Easter, we've been going through these different Easter narratives, right? Like all these different Easter stories on all these different gospels. You know, since before Christmas, we went through the Gospel of Matthew, and when Mark and I were getting ready for this sermon series, we're like, man, it would be fun to go through all the Easter narratives and all of these Gospels, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, after we finish Matthew, because we preach on this stuff during Easter, and Easter has some weird expectations with it. Some people are like, listen, you need to keep it short. We don't need any of this 30-minute stuff that you usually do, right? We need you to keep it. We need to do all these things. And you have all these people that aren't really familiar with the story, so you're trying to hit the high spots. But we want to go through, it's like all these Gospels are hitting these huge ideas here in the resurrection, and that's what today's is all about with Emmaus at the end of the Gospel of Luke. So, before we get into that, I want to ask you a question. This picture here, has anyone ever seen this picture before? Yeah. The church workers. Like that'll make sense here in a second, right? Like that's I think someone else also saw it a little bit ago. This is actually a pretty important picture, but does anyone have this hanging up in their house? No, not even the church workers. That's like you don't have this one like the, how does this one make you feel? Yeah, okay. All right. Now let's go to the next one. Like who has seen this one before? Like this is everyone, right? And how? Like, does anyone have this in their house? Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure every church I've ever attended has this somewhere in it. I don't think Grace does anymore. I think it got damaged or something like that. But I'm pretty sure it was hanging up in what is now the HVAC room, right over there when I first got here. Like I'm pretty sure it was up there. I know my church had it right above the entrance to the bathrooms. I don't know what that was about, but it was like right there, right? Like that. It was right there, and you know and I guarantee that if we tried hard enough, I bet this picture is somewhere in this room, not on the screen right now. I bet someone's got it on a keychain or something in the bottom bits of the purse. Because this picture was painted in 1941 by Henry Salmon, all right? And it is the most reproduced picture of Jesus ever. Like we don't even know where it all is like that because it is everywhere, right? Like that. It's wild, and it looks nice and pretty and innocent. Like it makes you feel good when you look at it. You know, I think it has that kind of timeless look at it. But is that what Jesus really looked like? Like, did Jesus have long, flowing blonde hair and blue eyes? He's like, I come from the Nordic land, right? Like that. That's and all of these things. Like no, like that. What did Jesus look like? Well, he probably looked something like this. And this is the point of this. So this picture came from, in 2015, a bunch of forensic anthropologists looked at bone structure and all that of Middle Eastern men around that Jerusalem area around the same time that Jesus was around. And they kind of created like what the average guy would have looked like. And it looks like this. So there's a good chance that Jesus maybe have looked something like this. Also, he would have been around 5 feet tall. You know? Like that's, I don't know how funny that is. like that's, but he would have been around 5 feet tall. So someone that was 5 feet tall in the first service went, woohoo! Like that's, and so like that's, but like we don't know what Jesus looked like. You know, this is just a guess. The Bible doesn't tell us. I think that's kind of on purpose. But you know, we don't really know what he looked like or what to experience with that, but we know it's probably not this one. Like we pretty much know that, right? And it's a lot closer to this one. Because sometimes we're kind of blinded to see what we want to see. Sometimes our presuppositions about Jesus can actually cause us to miss who he is. Because if you're looking for blonde hair, blue-eyed Jesus, you're going to be like, where's he at? You know? Like you're not going to see him. And that is really, I think, one of the main points that's going on with this road to Emmaus. Because they miss him. So, what's going on with this road to Emmaus? It happened right after Jesus rose from the dead in the Gospel of Luke. The women go to the tomb and they don't see him. And we're taken right to this road where two people are walking down the road together. And they're talking about everything that had happened before, right? Everything that happened in Jerusalem. They're probably celebrating the Passover in Jerusalem, and they're walking back to their home named Emmaus. Now, I'm going to ask you a hard question. You ready? When we say Emmaus, does anything come to your mind? Like, no? Nothing? Oh, man. Does anything come to your mind? No? Oh. Yes. Oh, Emmanuel? You know, that's first service did that too. It's wrong. And it's like that. Like, yeah. Now, did now come to your mind? Is it one of my favorite names? Yeah, oh yeah, he did remember. Dang it, dang it, like that. That's I thought I almost had one on Ed, over there. I found out something new about all this with what Emmaus means, and it's really cool. We'll get to it here in just a second, right? So they are walking to Emmaus after being in Jerusalem when the whole Jesus event happens. And I'm just going to kind of walk through the scriptures here. Now, that same day, two of them were going to a village named Emmaus. They're probably walking home to Emmaus. So we're going to skip a little bit there. And as they talked and discussed the things with each other, the things that happened in Jerusalem, Jesus himself came up and walked along with them. This is one of my favorite ideas in this whole thing. Like, he came up and walked, which means, in my mind, when I picture this, like they're walking along the path over there, and Jesus had to catch up with them, right? But you can't do a run. People get worried when you run. So it's probably like one of these, hey, what are you guys talking about, Like all this idea, right, like that, yeah? Like, he kind of comes up. He comes up and talks to them, and they're like, what are you talking about, man? Like, what do you mean, what are we talking about? Don't you know what has happened over the last couple of days? Like this, like all this stuff. And Jesus is like, no, I don't. What things, right? And they're like, about Jesus of Nazareth? Duh, right? Like, he was a prophet, powerful in word and deed before God and the whole people. And the chief priests, and the rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him, right? Like, that's, like they're going along the way, and they see this, and they're talking about Jesus, and they don't know it's Jesus. They can't recognize him. That's fascinating to me. It's filled with so much irony, and they're like, he's so powerful in all these things, and then they say this, and this is like the stuff. But we had hoped that he was the one that was going to redeem Israel. And what's more, it's been the third day since all this took place. They don't recognize Jesus. Like, they knew what they wanted to do. They wanted him to redeem Israel, right? And what does that mean? What does redeem mean? It means kind of this idea to buy back, to like get back. And most of the time, Israel, when they're talking about redemption stories, their big one that they always go back to is the Exodus. You guys remember the Exodus, right? That's when Charlton Heston came up to Yul Brynner and said, "Let my people go," right? Sorry, that may be a reference. I was really leaning into the one crowd on that one. Moses went to Pharaoh, right? And said, "Let my people go." God used Moses to redeem his people from slavery to Egypt, to redeem his people from the slavery and the yoke of Pharaoh, right? And the story of the Exodus is that God rips his people from their grasp. From the grasp, he redeems them as they go through the Red Sea. And so when they say, we had hoped that he was going to be the one that was going to redeem Israel, that's a loaded statement. They were like, we were expecting him to be the new Moses. We were expecting him to be the new David. We were this one that was expected all of this, and that he was going to take us away from the baddies. And so around here, but now they're not in Egypt, right? They're not having to deal with Pharaoh. Who's Pharaoh to these two people walking down the road? It's Caesar, right? The guy who invented the salad. And he, it's a dumb joke. I get it. You shouldn't laugh at bad stuff like that. And so, like, it's Caesar, right? In Egypt is Rome, right? Like, they view that the Romans are this oppressing nation that is over them. And they looked at Jesus and they're like, this guy is mighty in word and deed. We have seen all the, like, he raised a little girl back to life. She was dead and she is alive now. Like, it's unbelievable what they did. And and we expected him, and my goodness, he was even in Jerusalem on the Passover, like it was written right there for us all to see. And they killed him. And this is where that Emmaus subplot comes in. You guys ready for this? So when you think of Emmaus, you don't really think of much, right? You don't think, it's like, okay, they're just listing off a place where someone lived. Whenever you in the Gospels you see like a place, it's usually loaded, okay? So I'm about to go on my sabbatical. Let's say I told everyone, I'm going to Pearl Harbor. What does that mean? I'm going to Hawaii, yes. I'm not actually going to Hawaii. Like, that seems like a long flight from here. But if I went to Pearl Harbor, but it's like, oh, you're going to be thinking about like past war stuff, right? Like World War II and all that stuff, kind of remembering of big battles and all that stuff. If I said I was going to go to Gettysburg, what do you think of? Again, big battles and all that stuff, battles won, big important battles and all those things. There was a huge consequential battle that happened in Emmaus. Right? And it's almost like you're saying Gettysburg, and it would have been all this stuff. See, Emmaus, there was this huge battle that happened against the Assyrians about 150 years earlier. Right? So at this time, the Romans are in charge, but then it was the Assyrians, and our good old friend Judas Maccabeus is involved in this, the Maccabees family. You knew it was coming up. You can't get out of the Gospels without seeing it. That's why I talk about it all the time. Like, so basically, okay, so here's what we're going to do. The Maccabees were kind of lifted up as the kings over there, and they did this huge battle in Emmaus to win the victory over the Assyrians to bring about the redemption from them, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to read from First Maccabees. And you're like, excuse me, first what? This is in the Apocrypha. Right? So the Apocrypha is the intertestamental books. You have the Old Testament and you have the New Testament. There's an intertestamental one called the Apocrypha, and it's filled with all kinds of crazy stories and all those things. There's been a few people that have tried to read it. Diane tried to read it a couple of years ago, and I think you quit because you said it was boring, which it is. It reads very much like Joshua and all those things. And I think it's really helpful to understand what's going on in it because you can see how people were feeling about things in Jesus' day and time, right? But listen to this. So this is from 1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 6. It goes, at daybreak, Judas Maccabeus, appeared in the plain with 3,000 men, but they did not have armor or swords such as they desired. And they saw the camp of the Gentiles, strong and fortified, with cavalry all around it, and these men were trained in war. It sounds like Joshua, does it not? But Judas said to those who were with him, do not fear their numbers or be afraid when they are in charge. Remember how our ancestors were saved at the Red Sea when Pharaoh with his forces pursued them. See, he's going back and reminding him, remember when God redeemed Israel from slavery in Egypt. Like he's going back there. All right, you ready for this next little bit? And now let us cry to heaven to see whether he will favor us and remember his covenant with our ancestors and crush this army before us. Then all the Gentiles will know that there is one who redeems and saves Israel. And they were victorious. It's the Battle of Emmaus. Like they were over there and it got their freedom from Assyria. So these guys, or these people, we don't know if they're both guys that are walking to Emmaus, are walking to this place. They grew up where this battle was, and they are the ones that are saying, we had hoped that he would redeem Israel. You hear it? Oh man, you can hear it now, can't you? They're like, from that place of Emmaus, they are seeing, like, he can do all these amazing things. He's so much better than the Maccabees. And they gave us Hanukkah. Oh my goodness, right? And that's a different story. All right, anyway. And the fact that it's Passover, it's just the cherry on top. And so they're retelling, there was all this fervor around Jesus as he's walking into Jerusalem. Everyone's watching like, it's going to happen. He's going to do all this. It's going to be big. And then he dies at the hands of the powerful in Jerusalem and the hands of the Romans. Like, we had hoped that he was the one that was going to redeem Israel. But he died. He died in their own hands. And we start asking our own questions. Where we ask ourselves, where have we missed the redemptive act of Jesus? Because we already see Jesus died and rose again on the cross, right? We're already in the resurrection time. And these guys walking down the road are like, we had hoped that he was going to say it. That was their vision of that redemption. Where do you want Jesus to serve you in your own way? What is your vision for how Jesus is supposed to save mankind? Because I think we often think he needs to save us from all the baddies out there, all those evil people out there, the Egyptians, the Romans, whoever you would define as your enemy. If only I could get redemption and they all would be destroyed, then my life would be full. Come on, Jesus, go get the baddies out there. We want Jesus to punish all those libtards out there, right? They're over there. Don't they know that they're all terrible? Or how about all those godless conservatives? Come on, God, Jesus, take care of all of them. I need redemption in this life. But do we see with the eyes that Jesus sees and sees how he does it? Or have we collapsed the vision to describe redemption as just this power of the world, right? Would we rather have the blonde hair, blue eyes Jesus saving us in power, right? It's something to think about. Where he's wanting to save the people that we want him to save. But the thing is, Jesus comes in with a completely different version of redemption. One where he's saying, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. And I think when we read the Gospels, especially if we read it where we kind of see ourselves in that person of Peter who's denying Jesus, we remember that old song that says, it was my sin that held him there. That it was my sin, my evil, my awfulness that held him on the cross. It is my own denial. But even in the midst of all of that, Jesus redeems us and overcomes all of our evil. Notice Jesus doesn't fight evil the way we think he should fight it. Notice that he submits to it almost. Like he doesn't defeat evil with the powers of the world. He defeats it by dying with it. But then in the new creation, just like the water with Haven there, into the water and out again, like new life, that he comes raised to life and defeats all of that. He does it for you and me. He loves you and me who even sometimes are his enemies. And so we check out the end of the story then. So as they approach the village to where they were going, Jesus continued on as if he were going further. I love this because this sounds like every battle on who pays for the check at a restaurant. You know, it's like, no, I'll get it over there. You can hear that with Jesus. They're like, oh, well, here's our stop. And he's like, okay, that's cool. No, come stay with us. No, I couldn't bother you, you know? Like, you can hear that, right? As we're going over there. It's like the great battle. We all know who's paying, though, right? Like, we all know who's paying sometimes. Like, that's over there. So he looked like he was going to go on further, but they urged him strongly, stay with us, for it is nearly evening and the day is almost over. He's like, all right, I'll let you pay this time. And so he went and he stayed with them. Like, they bring it in. And what's wild is that they're having, but right before there's just this huge conversation where Jesus explains how that redemptive arc, all the way from the Exodus, molded through this redemptive arc of God throughout the whole story in the Old Testament that brought us to where we are now. And then this happens here. And when he was at the table with them, he took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and began to give it to them. And what does that sound like? It sounds like communion. It sounds like communion. And suddenly, they recognize him. Their eyes are open. They woke up, right? They're like, whoa! And they recognize him, and he disappears from their sight. I love this image too. They're like, whoa, it's Jesus! Where'd he go? Like that's like they have this whole, like, I don't know where he is, but suddenly they see him in the midst of the body and blood, right? In the midst of this same meal that we participate in with countless churches throughout the entire world. We have this same meal together. Oh, I'm quoting the communion liturgy all of a sudden. And then he, like, vanishes with it. He's like Batman in that way, right? Like, the two were walking home to Emmaus, kicking stones in disappointment. Then all of a sudden, the way of Jesus clicks as they are eating the bread. And they see his redemptive hope for the entire world. They had hoped that Jesus was going to redeem Israel. And when their eyes were finally open, they realized that he had redeemed the entire world. This is a terrible sentence. No one should quote this, but this kind of means so much to me. Because I used to have such a small view of redemption that I knew exactly who was in and who was out, and how they were going to, and what they were going to do, and what their life was going to look like, and all of those things. And I can't tell you the exact ways that I came out of that. But I think I was kind of forced into this bigger view of Jesus' redemption than anything I had understood before. Because they saw that Jesus saved them from so much more than their small vision could ever see. The way I put that now for my life is simply this, and you guys have heard it before probably. I don't like to declare where the power of Jesus' death and resurrection ends. I'm super uncomfortable saying that, oh, this person's doing this. Jesus no longer, his resurrection just does not work for you anymore. I have a hard time being in there because I realized at some point that I was often outside of my own image of salvation, right? Or I've made myself the God of my own life. One or the other. And what my hope for you is that as you go out from here, as you come to the table and you go out from this place, is that you would be able to see that vision of Emmaus. That you would see that that redemption that Jesus is working is so much bigger and more all-encompassing than you have ever had and imagined for before. And that way you can just, it's going to be okay. Right? So as we come up in a little bit and get the bread and the wine, the body and the blood, and it's broken and poured out for each of us, I hope the Spirit would open your eyes and that you would see the humble Jesus and the huge redemption that he's given to you and the entire world. And you can look back and go, was not my heart burning the whole time? Because Christ is risen. And that is very good news. Let's say a prayer. God, we thank you that you are with us. Lord, we thank you that you are Emmanuel, that you love us so much, that you never let us go. Lord, even if our visions of redemption are too small, Lord, you break all of those chains. Even when our redemption, it doesn't include parts of your creation, Lord, you break those chains. Lord, you come and you show us that your way of love and grace is so much more than anything we could comprehend. And we are so grateful for that. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. And we'll sing our next song together.